What's going on, guys? Brad here. Today I want to show you something that's kind of cool. So, full disclosure, I would usually do logos like this in Adobe Illustrator, but my subscription has run out and I currently cannot afford to get a new one. So, I had to kind of cheese it a bit, and I'm doing it in Sketchup. So, what you see in front of you is my current logo for my brand, Lost Viking Media. And usually when you do this sort of stuff in Illustrator, you'd use guides and you'd have spacers to kind of get the bits and pieces perfectly spaced out. And so what you have here is a perfectly symmetrical and spaced logo. And I was able to achieve that in SketchUp as kind of an alternative to Adobe Illustrator. So, like I said, in Illustrator you would use guides, you would use, like in my case, I would use square boxes and things like that that would allow you to kind of space the gaps out a bit more. But I've actually got a background in 3D design as well as SketchUp. And so I was able to actually kind of figure out a way to do it that was a little easier for me. And what I'll show you real quick here, just as I'm going through the lesson, if you zoom in, you can see these little kind of dotted lines. That's the SketchUp version of guides. And I take my little tape here, which is you hit T on the keyboard, and I can tell exactly how much space there is. So between that and that, there's a half an inch, and the actual shape itself here is 3/4 of an inch. So I was able to take this logo. It looked kind of funny because you had all these lines going in every direction and angles, but I was able to actually get a really cool and really symmetrical logo. It took a bit of time, but that's the kind of beginning point of today's lesson. So I'm going to do a logo in SketchUp and then export it as a 2D file to essentially use in Photoshop. SketchUp is free unless you go for the upgraded version, which is about $350 per year, and that gets you a few more buttons and a few more things, but it's not like anything to write home about that I would say. It gives you a few more solid tools, so to speak, in order to do more functions in SketchUp. But you can get the free version on trimble.com, I believe it is, and maybe I'll link that below when I put this video up. It's a really robust program. It's got a lot of cool stuff to it, but it's a bit of a learning curve in the beginning. And as I learned the hard way, it's not the greatest program for doing 3D printed files. But in my case, I have no choice. I'm going off the tools I have right now. So I've got the logo here. It's called Triad Creative. I just drew it up in like 30 seconds on my little space on my desk, and I'm just going to get this so it's facing vertical, so it's a little easier to kind of see what I'm doing. This rotate tool is so frustrating sometimes. It just doesn't always do what you want it to do, but SketchUp's nice because you can kind of you can really it's just it's nice to have things snap the way that you want them to snap. I have an issue in Adobe Illustrator when I'm using it where it ends up your guidelines don't always hit the mark and your pieces don't always line up the way you expect them to. There's like these tiny gaps, but SketchUp is nice because it's based off of mathematical precision. So we got the logo here, test logo for Triad Creative. So I'm going to just start really roughly here with some guides just to get an idea of kind of, roughly how much of a logo space we need here. So we've got, oh, I got to change my markers. Oh, that's a foot. Holy cow. Well, we'll just go off that for now. That's fine. So I've got, no, that's not going to work. I need this to be smaller because a foot is way too much to go off of for designing. So we'll just bring this down a bit. I want to try and get it so that these gaps between the spaces are like, 3/4 of an inch, something that's manageable. So that's 5 and 11/16 overall. Yeah, that's okay. We'll go with that for now. So we'll just say that's our kind of starting point for that. So let's put another guide here, bring that over to kind of roughly that point there. And we'll get one for the top, and we'll get one for roughly the bottom. So now that I've got the rough shape figured out, I can come back with the line tool and start kind of doing work from that. So moving on, I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do here because sometimes it's easier to have a square reference to go off of to get your lines. But what I'll do instead to make this a little more simplified is I'm going to take this here. We'll use this part here. I'm using the protractor tool just to get a rough idea of what kind of angle I need to make for the lines. So we'll just go off like that, let's say, and we've got 51.5 degrees. Okay, so that's 51.5 that way. What I'll do is I'll bring this item here, and I just want to get these lined up like right on the tip of the corners. So that one there is 51.5, so we have to flip it. It doesn't always work when you reverse it too, so I'm going to do a move copy on this, which is essentially, if it work, you hold control while you're moving, you hold shift while you're moving the object, and you hit control and it creates a copy. And I should be able to right click this. Nope, it's not going to let me. Okay, let's try it with that. No, it's still going to, well, nope. Okay, well that sucks. Sometimes you can just flip it, but it's not letting me flip it. So we know that that's roughly 51.5. So I want to get my protractor tool again, and I should be able to just go like this and go not negative. It's actually the tilde key, 51.5. And I want to make sure I got that correct. I'm pretty sure I said 51.5. Let's just double check that. 51.5, and we've got pull the protractor out again, and we've got not that way. Yeah, that's correct. 51.5. Alrighty. So now that I can see kind of that these are looking pretty good and centered, I can tell here needs to come over a bit because I want it to be, I want these triangular spots to be dead on. So I'm going to grab this guide here, move it just kind of like that. And I am a absolute, what's the word, stickler for saving. So I'm always, control S-ing. I'll save like 5 or 6 versions because I've had my hard drives fail before, and it's really frustrating when you've done all this work and you lose it. So let's go like this, and we'll bring this guide up to the other guides just so it's bang on. So now we got a triangle shape, you can tell. Boom, boom, boom. It's looking pretty good. I'm gonna see what I need to do here though. First thing I need to do, I need to get the basic shape figured out. So I'm gonna set these guides to about 3/4 thickness with a gap of about a 1/2 inch between. So like I said, you're seeing this on the fly, so this is just me talking out of my ass and having fun. So let's take a, that's a little too much actually. You know what? Because of the size of my logo, I'm actually gonna go only probably a 1/4 inch, maybe even 3/8. Let's go 3/8. 3/8 is half of 3/4, so we'll go 3/8 for that gap or that thickness of the line. We'll go 3/8 for this one, and then we'll go 3/8 for this one. So now we have the basics. I've got a basic shape, but I need to decide how I want to do this. See, I want this triangle to be, it starts kind of here and it keeps weaving around to, it's like 3 loops and it comes to that point. So I almost question if I should just go maybe even less. Let's make this, just for the sake of this video, let's go with 1/4 by 1/4 by 1/4. We'll try that. By 1/4 by 1/4. And sometimes you're doing this and you move the guideline up and it just doesn't play ball and it ends up going somewhere else and goes haywire. So kind of annoying, but the beauty too is that when I make these objects, I don't make them into a component, which is like a group. I leave them as they are because there's more editing capabilities essentially before you make it into a component. Like you don't have to keep clicking through layers to get to the result you're trying to get to. So I'm just trying to figure out, I've got the basic triangle shape set up. I want to do, yeah, like I said, this is on the fly, so bear with me. We're having fun. This is a fun sort of a thing on a Sunday. So we'll just start the basic shape out. And I love this because you go to do these guidelines, and as soon as you see that X, see how it's here and it's red, and then it goes boom, X, you know it's hit the mark, and it works pretty much every single time. Sometimes it doesn't. Now when I do this, it's going to make a solid shape and it's going to blot out obviously that design because it's made a solid triangle in front of it, but we'll just do this again. I can even just, I don't have to go off of the rough drawing I did. I'm just hoping I can kind of do something that's, pretty cohesive. So we'll do that, and then, yeah, this will work fine. Okay, so what we'll do, I'll do let's just try a quarter. It's gonna be a little different, but we'll make it work, guys. We'll make it work. Yeah, this guide thing. Since yeah, it's trying to go behind the graphic, and it's kind of annoying when it does that. But I'm just getting a rough idea here. This is just like you're seeing me in real time, kind of playing around here. But we're almost there. So I know there's a lot of guides going on, but I can tell what I'm doing. I'm just trying to. You can see that they're perfectly spaced. So I'm just doing the second inner triangle, kind of to there, to there. That didn't work. No, hold up. We gotta back that up. Sometimes it does that. I personally like to make sure that I see that X, but it doesn't always do it. There we go. There's the X. It still works if it doesn't, but it's just kind of like my OCD coming out. So I can see that that's the first item. So what I'm gonna do actually, while I'm thinking about it, just for the sake of this, is just make that red so I can kind of see, there's another save. I can kind of see what I'm working on. So we'll just do that. We'll make this one here. We'll go like so. Come on. There we go. Like so. And then I can take the same red and color that. So you've got your rough shape. Now, I mean, that is pretty cool, all things considered, all things considered, like this is just in SketchUp. I'm just doing this as a rough exercise. But you can see now that I've gotten two of the three triangles. I might even just leave it as two. Because what I might do is, actually, that is a cool idea. Let's do that instead. So I'm going to go, this triangle is going to start here. It's going to work its way up into the next one. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll go line tool to there, and to there. It doesn't always work, but it will. We'll make it work. So I'm going to do like that. So you can see it's going to bleed into the next triangle. And all I'm going to do is take the line tool again, follow this guideline, because it's so cool. You do this, and the second you run a point to a point and a point to a point, it cuts it off the main object. So I can just go like this, boom, I can delete it. Now I've got this gap, and I can then get rid of, oh, I need to do the gap, that's right. Okay, so this has got to go to, so I got to do, here I got to do a 1/4 inch, because we have a 1/4 inch spacer, so go to 1/4 inch, and this should already be set to a 1/4 inch. Yeah, we're at a 1/4, so that's good. So I just got to go line tool for that to cut it out. There we go. And SketchUp is very finicky, so you got to be, yeah, see, I forgot to put the line here. That's why I keep copies, because it's a very finicky program sometimes. And I will admit I've had some very colorful curse sessions, we shall say. So what I want to do is take, I shouldn't have done that. Actually, we'll take this, we'll make the same shape again. There. Make it red. So you can kind of see what I'm trying to do here. I'm essentially trying to break the triangles up a bit, but it's taking a little time, but that's okay. I'm just trying to make this, I have an idea in my head of what I want to do, but it's not quite panning out, so we'll just do this for now, just as a rough idea. Okay. So it goes like triangle into that. Oh, there we go. Okay, I got it. Sorry, I get really excited sometimes, and so you're going to hear a lot of that when I'm doing these videos. No, that didn't work. Oh, no, it did. We're good. Oh, yeah, we're good. Okay. All right. Now, these lines I don't think are that important, like those little guidelines that are in there, or not the guidelines, but the lines. When you go to export this as a graphic, you want them gone because they will show up. I think they'll show up in the final product. But you can already see, like, in that little bit of time, what would have taken me a bit of time in Illustrator to make, it would have taken probably, well, I wouldn't say it would take the same time, but you can see already I've got a really cool kind of starting point. So, okay, let's go off that. So we got that. I'm going to delete the background. Now that I've got the shape, I'm going to make sure that it's colored white, because what I'm going to do is when I go into Photoshop with this, you want it to be white. Because, yeah, that's right. Because it's going to make the object as, where's my white palette here? Where are you, white? That's weird. It's not even showing up my colored shit. Oh, there it is, white. So what I'm going to do is color this white, and the reason for doing that, save it again, the reason for coloring this white is because this black line is going to export with it when it goes into a 2D PNG. And so when I go into Photoshop and I use the magic eraser tool, it's going to knock out all the background, but this black line is going to preserve the rough shape of the logo. So that's a really cool little trick I figured out. So before I do that though, I mean I don't have to do this because we're just doing this as a reference. I hit G, which is to create a component. We'll just call this triad logo. Bing bang boom, fing fang foom, there we go. And I just like to kind of get it there, centered. Now what you can do is I'll set my camera to front, and when I set it to front, I know that it's dead on the object. So I'll save this again. Now I don't like this background, and there's a way to change it. But when I export this as a PNG, let's just take a look and see if it does work. So we'll just put this to desktop. EPS. No, 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 sir. Oh, no, actually, I take it back. I take it back. You can bring EPS files into Photoshop the last I checked. So let's just, for now, we'll just make it an EPS. I'll also do a PNG export too. So we'll just go, just for the sake of having it, we'll go with a PNG. All right, there we go. Cool. That's done. So I'm in Photoshop now. And let's take this and make sure it's going to work. Import. Where are you? Place embedded. YouTube lessons. Why are you doing that, Photoshop? Come on, there you go. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. This is super frustrating when it does this, but Photoshop has a nasty habit of like changing the transform box around. It's just frustrating. Anyways, you can see kind of the rough idea I'm going for here. So we're going to get this somewhat centered in the back. I'm going to make this layer here rich black, which is a 60%. I'm just going to go over this here. If you didn't know this about print, if you go to do a K layer, which is your black, like in CMYK color code, it's just 100% K, which is black. And when you go to print that, it actually comes out like a gray, and it's really frustrating because if you didn't know it, you wouldn't know any better. So it really mucks up the whole printing process, and even online too. Like web artwork is usually RGB, that's red, green, blue. That's the web format, and it's got a richer color palette in some cases, but it's up and down. But anyways, so what I do, I found the perfect color combination. It's called rich black. So it's 60% cyan, 40% magenta, 40% yellow, and then 100% black. And it just creates a really rich black color that will show up beautifully on prints and also in exports of your files too. So we'll save this as the Sketchup logo. Actually, I'm going to change it to triad logo because that's what the name is going to be. So you can see I'll lock the background out. Yeah, I've got a rough shape. Who cares about the black line because it doesn't need when you do an EPS, it didn't bring the background with it, which is sweet. So, oh, we got that. Let's take a look here. So we got that set up. We got the logo placed, which is what I was hoping for. We'll bring it up just a bit. Now I'll make a font. Let's just pick a random whatever font. I want it to be set to white so you can see it in the black background. We'll call this Triad Creative. Pick a font, any font. Oh boy, what have we got here? I want to go with like a sans serif font. Something that really kind of talks to the sharp quality of the graphics. So, ooh, that's kind of nice actually. Montserrat. We'll go with that for now. That's kind of nice. Don't beep at me, computer. Alright. Now we'll make it kind of roughly the same size as the graphic. Maybe just a hair below it. Nothing crazy. Well, we'll even go... Do I want to go right to that size there? Yeah. Yeah, why not? You only live once, right? So we'll just do that. And we'll bring it just down a hair. Yeah, so there you go. You got your logo. Oh, don't do that. Don't change it. You got... Oh, stop it, Photoshop. You got your logo. You got the rough shapes I was looking for. Now, I don't know. I thought about putting like a letter C in the middle here. I don't think it's even necessary to do that. It looks pretty sweet as it is, but just for the sake of it, we'll make a letter C in the middle. And we got to pick a nice font too, something that kind of jumps out, but it's not too much that it's going to take away from the graphic itself. I'm just gonna quickly highlight this, make it a capital C so you can kind of see how it looks. And it's gonna make my life difficult if I don't do that. So, all right, let's see. You got agency FB. Let's go through the fonts here real quick. I just do a quick visual check until I see something that jumps out, and usually it happens pretty quickly. Let's take a look here. Nah, Broadway, that's a font I'm not a fan of. What do you got? Calibri. Costello would be kind of cool. Let's go with that. Alright, so you got that. Now we're just going to make it roughly kind of the shape inside part here. We want it just to touch the edges of each piece, so I'll have to just move it around just a bit. If the program would stop doing that, that'd be great. Thanks. Oh yeah, it's doing it again. So it does this thing with transform. I don't know why, and I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually, but yeah, it does that. It won't let you just transform it normally. It does this stupid thing where it makes like a second box and opens it, and it's extremely annoying. It didn't always do this before, so I don't know if it's just updates to Photoshop that have caused it, but regardless, it's incredibly annoying. So we'll just get this kind of as close as we can. Yeah, that's pretty good there. Good enough. Actually, you know what? I take it back. I'm a perfectionist, so I have to make sure this is perfect. And it's going to do that again. That's fine. We're just going to just kind of center place the C as best we can. I'm just going to eyeball it, kind of get the gaps to be roughly the same. We'll go with that. Okay. Yeah, so there you go. Got a rough idea for the logo. I'm just going to lock that for now. Photoshop does this thing too, when even if you're clicking off the layer, it keeps the bounding box on it. So there you go. You got a rough logo. Obviously, I did the main part of it in SketchUp and then brought it into Photoshop for the text. If you have other programs like Adobe Illustrator or even Canva, I think you could bring it into Canva. So yeah, that's kind of the idea. And maybe in the next video I'll show you guys how to do some 3D effects on it too. But that is the lesson for today. So that was how to go into SketchUp as an alternative to Adobe Illustrator to create a really cool geometric logo and to be able to bring it as a vector format right into Photoshop and then do all your effects after there. You can do text in Photoshop. Obviously, you can see as you get closer it gets kind of pixelated and rasterized. I could do it as a path too if I really wanted to. I could make it into a object path and I could do it that way, which would be probably a little sharper. But this is also a 2000 by 2000 pixel canvas, so it's quite big. So I mean, you'd have to really size it down to get any of that hard pixelation going on. But let's give it one last save. That is the lesson for today. I hope you enjoyed, and if you'd consider giving me a like, subscribing to the channel. It's going to be a fun journey, but yeah, I appreciate any support you can give, and I hope this helps. Have a wonderful day.